My name is Blessing. My husband and I went to church together last Sunday. We have been doing this since we got married a year ago. After church, we came home. A little later, my husband stepped out to get some fresh air. This was normal for him, so I didn't worry at first. Usually, he would come back in 30 minutes or maybe an hour. But that day, he stayed out much longer. I became worried and went out to look for him. I couldn't find him anywhere. So, I decided to wait for him outside. I waited for about 3 hours. Then I saw my husband coming out of my neighbor's room. The neighbor is a single woman. He didn't expect to see me there, and he looked shocked. But I stayed calm. Even though I was not happy, I acted as if nothing was wrong. When he recovered from the shock, he came to sit beside me and started talking casually, like nothing had happened. I also pretended everything was fine. After about 30 minutes, he said, "Can we go inside and talk?" I followed him in. The first thing he asked was, "Does it bother you that you saw me coming out of Monica's room?" Before I could answer, he quickly said, "Trust me, it's not what you think. Nothing bad happened." I calmly asked, "So what were you doing there for more than 3 hours?" That was the only thing I wanted to know, but he couldn't explain. When I asked if he had anything else to say, he simply said no. I am not close to Monica, which makes me even more worried. Since that day, my husband has been acting extra nice to me. He helps me with everything and tries very hard to please me. But all of this is not helping. If anything, I now find it harder to talk to him without feeling upset. I don't know what to do. A few days later, I decided to talk to my best friend about what happened. She listened quietly and then said, "You need to be careful. Something is not right. If he can't explain where he was for 3 hours, then you have a reason to worry." Her words made sense, but I didn't want to jump to conclusions. So, I told myself I would watch my husband closely. That same week, I noticed he was always on his phone. He would step outside to take calls and quickly end the conversation whenever I walked in. One evening, I asked him if everything was okay. He smiled and said, "Yes, everything is fine." "Why do you ask?" But deep inside, I knew everything was not fine. 2 days later, I saw Monica standing outside her door. She smiled at me and said, "Good evening." I forced a smile back, but I could feel my heart racing. I wanted to ask her what was going on between her and my husband, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. That night, as my husband slept beside me, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking, what if there's more to the story? What if I'm being lied to? The next morning, I made a decision. I was going to find out the truth, no matter how painful it might be. The next morning, I woke up with a clear decision. I needed to know the truth. Living in doubt was worse than knowing the worst. That day, when my husband left for work, I went to see Monica. I took a deep breath and knocked on her door. She opened it, looking surprised to see me. "Can we talk?" I asked. She hesitated for a moment, then let me in. I looked her in the eyes and said calmly, "Monica, I don't want to fight with you. But I saw my husband coming out of your room the other day. I need to know what's going on." She looked down at the floor. For a few seconds, she didn't say anything. Finally, she whispered, "I'm sorry. I didn't mean for this to happen." My heart sank, but I stayed quiet. She continued, "Your husband has been visiting me for a while. He told me he was unhappy in the marriage. I know it was wrong, and I regret it." I felt like my whole world had fallen apart. I thanked her for telling me the truth and walked out of her room, holding back my tears until I got home. That evening, when my husband came back, I told him we needed to talk. I told him everything Monica had said. At first, he denied it, but when I told him I had spoken to her directly, he just sat there silently. Finally, he said, "I'm sorry. I made a mistake." I looked at him and replied, "This isn't just a mistake. You betrayed my trust." There was nothing more to say. I packed a bag and went to stay at my sister's place that night. The next day when he called, I told him I needed time to think about what I wanted. He begged me to forgive him. A few days later, I finally decided to go back home. I couldn't stay at my sister's place forever, and deep down, I knew I had to face my reality. When I got back, my husband was quiet and careful around me. He tried to help with everything, but my heart was still heavy. After some days, my mother came to visit. She had sensed from my voice on the phone that something was wrong. The moment she arrived, she hugged me and looked into my eyes. "Blessing, my daughter, what is bothering you?" she asked softly. I shook my head and forced a smile. "Nothing, Mama. I'm fine." But she knew me too well. She sat close to me, held my hand, and said, "You're my child. I can see pain in your eyes. Please, tell me what is wrong." At first, I didn't want to open up. The shame, the betrayal, it was too much to say out loud. But Mama didn't stop asking. Finally, I told her everything. She sighed deeply and held me tightly. "My daughter, I know this pain cuts deep, but forgiveness brings peace. Your husband was wrong, very wrong, but you have to decide if your marriage is worth saving." Her words stayed with me. That evening, my husband came to me again and said, "Blessing, I'm so sorry. I betrayed you, but I promise it will never happen again. Please forgive me." At first it wasn't easy, but with my mother's advice still in my heart, I slowly nodded. "I forgive you," I whispered. Later that night, Mama called my husband to sit with her. She spoke gently but firmly. "My son, what you did was very wrong. Marriage is built on trust. You must never betray my daughter like this again. If you truly love her, prove it every day with your actions." He listened quietly and promised to change. Weeks passed, and slowly, my home began to feel peaceful again. One morning, I wasn't feeling well, so I went to the hospital for a checkup. The doctor smiled and said, "Congratulations, Blessing, you're 2 months pregnant." Shock and joy washed over me. I couldn't wait to tell my husband and my mother. Maybe this was the new beginning we all needed. Communication is key in marriage. Many problems in relationships grow worse because partners fail to communicate. If my husband had spoken about his unhappiness, things might have been resolved differently. Silence and secrets can destroy trust. After a few months, my pregnancy grew steadily, and by the 4th month, it was beginning to show more. One morning, my husband came home with good news. "They gave me 2 weeks off from work," he said cheerfully. "I think this is the perfect time for us to visit my parents and spend a week there." I smiled politely, even though I wasn't too excited about the idea. Still, I agreed. A few days later, we traveled to my husband's family house. At first, things seemed fine, but I soon noticed something disturbing. His mother never did any housework. His siblings would eat and drop their plates on the table without washing them. No one helped to cook or clean. Despite being pregnant, I found myself cooking, sweeping, and cleaning. I would prepare food, and after everyone ate, they would just leave their plates behind as if it was my duty to wash them. My mother-in-law never corrected them, and my husband wasn't aware of all this, because they do it mostly when he is not around. I swallowed my frustration and kept quiet for the sake of peace. After a week of silently enduring, I and my husband finally traveled back home. I felt relieved to leave that environment behind. After a few days, Monica saw me while I was sitting at the bench in front of my house. She told me she will be moving to United Kingdom to meet her new lover that wants to marry her. I said okay and wish her safe journey. Months later, I gave birth to a healthy baby boy, I was overjoyed and wanted my own mother to come and stay with me for support. But my husband's mother insisted I will be the one to come and help. It is my grandchild. I hesitated because I knew very well that my mother-in-law would not truly help. My husband pleaded, "Please, let my mother come. Just allow peace to reign." Reluctantly, I agreed. When my mother-in-law came, my fears became reality. Instead of helping me with the baby or doing housework, my mother-in-law would say, "This is my time to be with my son and my grandchild. You can handle the housework." I, still recovering from childbirth, I found myself cooking, cleaning, and caring for the newborn all alone. My husband also failed to help. He would hold the baby for a short time but mostly left me to manage everything. Whenever I asked for help, his mother would say, "You are the mother. It's your duty." The stress was overwhelming. I cried many nights but kept enduring silently. One night, when the baby was finally asleep, I sat alone, deep in thought. I remembered my mother's words, "Forgiveness brings peace, but you must also speak up for your own happiness." I realized that staying silent was slowly draining me. The weeks dragged on, and I felt like I was slowly disappearing. My body was still healing from childbirth, yet I was cooking, cleaning, and caring for the baby all by myself. My husband barely noticed my struggles, and his mother acted as if I was just a servant. One afternoon, I stood in the kitchen washing dishes while my baby cried in the next room. My husband sat on the couch scrolling through his phone, and his mother held the baby, rocking him without even trying to soothe him properly. I finally snapped. I shouted from the kitchen, "Can you please help me with the baby for once?" My husband looked surprised. "I'm tired too, my mother is helping already." I walked into the living room, my eyes burning with anger and pain. "Helping? Your mother hasn't lifted a finger since she came here. I gave birth to your son. I'm the one who wakes up at night, feeds him, cooks, cleans, while you sit there doing nothing." The room went silent. His mother's face stiffened with shock. "When we went to your parents' house, I was the one doing all the housework even while pregnant. Nobody cared. And now, when I need support the most, you let me suffer because you're too afraid to stand up to your family." My husband looked stunned, not expecting my outburst. His mother tried to speak, "Blessing, you shouldn't talk to your husband like that." "No, Mama," I cut her off, my voice trembling but firm. "With all due respect, you came here to help, but you've done nothing but watch me struggle. You think being a mother-in-law means sitting back while I do everything. It's not fair." My husband faces the truth. He finally stood up, guilt spreading across his face. "Blessing, I'm sorry. I didn't realize how much you've been carrying alone. I thought having my mother here would make things easier." I looked at him with tired eyes. "It hasn't, it has only made me feel more alone." His mother frowned, clearly upset, but my husband turned to her. "Mama, she's right. You came here to support her, not to add to her burden. Blessing just gave birth, she needs care, not judgment." For the first time, my husband spoke firmly to his mother. She looked shocked but said nothing. That night, my husband took over caring for the baby so I could rest. The next morning, he told his mother gently but firmly, "Mama, I think it's best if you go back home. Blessing and I need time to bond and figure things out together." His mother was offended at first, but my husband didn't back down. "This is my marriage. If I don't protect it, I'll lose it." After some hesitation, she agreed to leave in a few days. For the first time since the baby was born, I felt hopeful. My husband started helping with the baby, changing diapers, waking up at night, even cooking when she was too tired. One evening, while the baby slept peacefully, my husband held my hand. "I'm sorry, my love. I let my family take advantage of you, and I wasn't there for you when you needed me. But I promise, things will change." I looked at him, my heart softening. All I ever wanted was for you to stand by me. He hugged me tightly. From now on, I will, he said. After everything that had happened, I finally felt a sense of peace returning to my home. My husband had started helping with the baby, and their bond was slowly growing stronger. I thought the worst was over. But little did I know, another problem was just around the corner. A few days after my husband's mother left, I went to shop at the supermarket. While picking items from a shelf, I heard a familiar voice behind me. "Blessing, is that you?" I turned around and froze. It was Ben, my ex-boyfriend from school. We hadn't seen each other since graduation. "Ben," I said, shocked but smiling politely. We exchanged numbers after a brief chat. Before leaving, Ben said, "We should hang out sometime, maybe at the restaurant nearby." I shook my head gently. "Ben, I can't. My husband is at home with the baby. And yes, I'm married now." Ben smiled but didn't say much. Later that night, I started receiving texts from Ben. "I don't care if you're married. I still have feelings for you. We can still be together." I replied firmly, "Ben, please stop. I'm married. This can put my marriage in danger." But Ben didn't stop. Every day, he sent more messages, telling me he missed me, loved me, and wanted me back. I decided I had had enough. I was about to block Ben on my phone when suddenly the baby started crying. I quickly dropped my phone on the living room table and rushed to the bedroom to check on the baby. At that exact moment, my husband came back from work. As he passed by the table, a notification lit up on my phone screen. "My love, I'm missing you so much. I wish I could hold you in my arms again." My husband froze. His heart raced with anger. He picked up the phone and rushed to the bedroom. "Who is Ben?" my husband demanded, his voice trembling with rage. My eyes widened. "My love, I can explain. Ben is my ex-boyfriend from school. I met him at the supermarket. He keeps texting me, but I've told him to stop." I was about to block him before the baby cried. My husband's face darkened. "So this is what you've been doing? Paying me back because I once cheated with Monica?" "No. My love, that's not true," I cried. But my husband didn't believe me. "I can't trust you anymore, Blessing. Maybe this is why you forgave me so easily, because you already had someone else in mind." Tears streamed down my face. "My love, please. I love you. I would never cheat on you." My husband's voice grew cold. "If that baby is really mine, prove it. I want a DNA test. Until then, I don't know what to believe." I felt my world collapsing. My encounter with Ben shows that temptation can appear when least expected. Staying firm and setting boundaries is necessary to protect one's marriage. Because my husband never truly dealt with his guilt from cheating, he became paranoid and insecure. Forgiveness without healing often leads to future problems. The tension in the house was unbearable. My husband barely spoke to me. Every time he looked at the baby, doubt clouded his eyes. I cried silently at night, feeling betrayed all over again, not because of Ben, but because my husband, who once begged for her forgiveness, could not even trust me. Finally, the day of the DNA test came. I, though heartbroken, agreed to it. I wanted to clear my name once and for all. A few days later, we received the results. "Mr. David," the doctor said as he handed him the report, "the child is biologically yours." My husband froze. He turned to look at me, his heart sinking with guilt. My eyes filled with tears, tears of pain, not relief. "You see," I said softly, "I told you the truth. But you chose not to believe me." My husband felt ashamed. "Blessing, I'm sorry. I was wrong. My insecurity blinded me. My husband later called Ben using my phone. Ben, my husband said coldly, stay away from my wife. I know everything you've been texting her. If you ever try to contact her again, you'll face the consequences. Ben tried to laugh it off. Man, you can't stop feelings. My husband cut him off. Respect yourself. She is married. This ends today. Ben never called again. The next day, my mother came over. She had heard everything. David, she said sternly, I am deeply disappointed. After everything my daughter forgave you for, this is how you repay her. By doubting her and treating her like a liar. My husband bowed his head in shame. Mama, I was wrong. I let my past mistakes make me suspicious. I don't deserve her forgiveness. You don't, she replied sharply. But if you want to keep this marriage, you must truly change. My daughter is not your enemy, she is your wife. I silently wiped my tears as my mother hugged me. Weeks later, it was my husband's birthday. His mother came to visit, holding a gift in her hands. She looked at me with teary eyes. My daughter, I've been wrong too. I treated you unfairly when you needed support the most. Please forgive me. I was silent for a moment, then gave a small nod. I forgive you, Mama. That evening, my husband stood up in front of both families. I failed as a husband, and I nearly lost everything because of my pride and doubt. But from today, I promise to protect this marriage and never let anyone, or my insecurities, come between us again. I looked at him, searching his eyes. For the first time in a long time, I believed he truly meant it. Months passed, and my husband kept his word. He became more supportive, helping with the baby, sharing house chores, and spending more quality time with me. Slowly, trust began to grow again. I also made a conscious effort to let go of the past. I forgave not just with words, but with my heart. I saw how much my husband was trying, and I appreciated it. On a sunny afternoon, my mother visited again. This time, the atmosphere was different, warm, peaceful, and full of laughter. My husband greeted her respectfully and said, Mama, thank you for always standing by my wife. You were right about everything. I almost lost my family because of pride. My mother smiled. I can see you are truly trying now. A good husband is not the one who never makes mistakes but the one who admits them and changes, my mother replied. A few weeks later, David's mother invited me to a family gathering. She stood up in front of everyone and said, I want to apologize to Blessing once again. I realized I failed as a mother-in-law. Instead of supporting her, I made her life harder. But from now on, I will treat her like my own daughter. Tears filled my eyes. I stood up and hugged my mother-in-law. Thank you, Mama. All I ever wanted was peace and love in this family. That evening, after putting our baby to sleep, my husband held my hand. My love, thank you for giving me so many chances. I promise you, this is a new beginning for us. I smiled softly. Marriage is not about never falling, honey. It's about standing up together, no matter how many times life tries to break us. We hugged tightly, knowing we had been through storms but finally found peace. 1 year later, our home was filled with joy. My husband had become a loving husband and father. I had found happiness again, and my relationship with my in-laws had greatly improved. As we celebrated our baby's first birthday, I looked around at my smiling family and whispered to myself, we survived the storms. Now, it's time to enjoy the sunshine. Lessons. Trust is fragile. Once broken, it takes effort to rebuild. True love is not perfect, it survives trials, forgiveness, and growth. A good marriage needs support, respect, and boundaries with outsiders. Family members should build peace, not division, in a couple's home. A real man protects his wife from pain, even when it comes from his own family. Thanks for watching. Please, as we wait for more interesting stories, remember to subscribe to this channel.